Good morning, everyone. I am Akancha Singh, lecturer of Apex Institute of Pharmacy, Samaspur, Chunar, Mirzapur. Today I am starting blood physiology. What is blood? Blood is a special type of fluid connective tissue derived from mesoderm, or blood is a body fluid in humans and other animals that delivers necessary substances such as nutrients and oxygen to the cells and transports metabolic waste products away from those same cells. In vertebrates, it is composed of blood cells suspended in blood plasma. And the study of blood, blood forming tissues, and the disorder associated with them is called hematology. Hematology is Latin word which is hem means blood and the logos means study, where we are study about blood, blood forming tissues and the disorder associated with them is called hematology. Now I come to the next. This is the properties of blood. Blood is a bright red in arteries and dark red in vein, and the mass is 8% of the body mass, and the pH is slightly alkaline, that is 7.35 to 7.45, and the taste is salty. Temperature is 38 degrees Celsius, that is 100.4 degree Fahrenheit, and the viscosity is 3 to 4 times more viscous than water, and the volume is 5 to 6 liter. And the next is composition of blood. This is the centrifuge blood, and this is the composition: plasma, red blood cell, white blood cell, and platelets. Now I come to the blood composition. In blood, plasma is 55% and the cellular elements is 45%. Cellular elements means RBC, WBC, and platelets. RBC is also known as erythrocytes and WBC is also known as leukocytes, and platelets is known as thrombocytes. This is the cellular element which is composition of plasma. And the next is plasma. What is plasma? Plasma is a pale yellow colored liquid components of a blood that holds the cellular elements of blood in suspension. Plasma is pale yellow colored liquid and component of a blood that holds the cellular elements of blood in suspension. Now I come to the constituents of plasma. Plasma constituents is water, protein, and other solutes, and the water contains 91.5%, protein contains 7% and other solute is 1.5%. The protein containing albumins, globulins, and fibrinogen, and the other solute is electrolyte ions, gases, nutrients, and waste product. In electrolyte ion is sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and chlorine, and etc. In gases O2, CO2, and N2. In nutrients is glucose, amino acids, and fatty acid. And waste product is urea, uric acid, ammonia, and creatinine. This is the constituents of plasma, which contains 91.5% is water, protein is 7%, and other solute is 1.5%. Now I come to the function of plasma. Plasma is containing water, albumins, globulins, fibrinogen, and electrolytic ions. And the function of water is absorb, transports, and release fat, heat, and albumins help for osmotic balance, and globulins for defense mechanism, and fibrinogen is blood clotting, and electrolyte ions maintaining pH buffering. Again, discussing water constituent absorbs, transport, and release heat, and albumins for osmotic balance, globulins helps for defense mechanism, fibrinogen helps in blood clotting, and electrolytes ion helps in pH buffering. Now I come to the red blood cell. Red blood cell is circular and bioconcave non-nucleated. This is type is bioconcave and the size is 7.8 micrometer. The thickness is 2.8 micrometer. And the color is red. And the red color is hemoglobin pigment, and the count is adult male 5.4 million RBC per microliter, and adult female is 4.8 million RBC per microliter, and the life span is 120 days. And the lifespan is 120 days, and after 120 days it is destroyed and make new RBCs. Now I am discussing about what is RBC. RBC is the red blood cell. Red blood cell is also known as erythrocytes, and the RBC is the referred to as red cells, red blood corpuscles, and hematites, and also known as erythroid cells, and are most common type of blood cells and the vertebrates principal means of delivering oxygen to the body tissues via blood flow through the circulatory system. And the normal range is in men 4.7 to 6.1 million cells per microliter, and in women 4.2 to 5.4 million cells per microliter. And the levels of RBC is in children 4.255 million red blood cells per microliter of blood, and in normal male are 4.7 to 6.1 million RBC per microliter of blood, and for men 4.2 to 5.4 million RBC per microliter of blood. And the lifespan is I already told 120 days. This is the RBC, which is known as red blood cells. Now I come to the production of RBC. Production of RBC is known as erythropoiesis. In adult, in red bone marrow of long bones, this is hip bone, breast bone and ribs, and child up to 5 years in bone marrow of all the bones, and fetus in liver and spleen. And the increase in the number of RBC is known as polycythemia, and the decrease in number of RBC is known as erythropenia. Again, erythropenia is the decrease in the number of RBC, and polycythemia is the increase in the number of RBC. This is the production of RBC. Now I come to the function of RBC. And function of RBC transports O2 from lungs to tissue and transport CO2 from tissue to lungs. And the normal blood contains 13.15 gram of Hb per 100 ml of blood, and 1 RBC contains about 250 million molecules of Hb. 250 millions molecules of Hb, and each molecules of Hb carries 4 molecules of oxygen. This is the function of RBC. A main function is transport O2 from lungs to tissues and transport CO2 from tissues to lung. Now I come to the white blood cell, which is also known as WBC. The shape is amoeboid, nucleated, and the size is 12 to 15 micrometer, and the color is colorless and translucent, and the count is 5000 to 10,000 WBC per liter. A white blood cell is also known as leukocytes, are the cells of immune system that are involved in protecting the body against both infection, disease and foreign invaders. All white blood cells are produced and derived from multipotent cells in the bone marrow known as hematopoietic stem cells. And what is the range of WBC? The range of WBC is 5000 to 10,000. It may be 4,500 to 11,000 WBC per microliter. Normal value ranges may vary slightly among different labs. And the lifespan of WBC is 10 to 13 days only. After 10 to 13 days, it destroyed and make new WBC. Now I come to the production of WBC. WBC production is known as leukopoiesis, and in adult it is liver, spleen, tonsils, bone marrow, and the fetus is liver and spleen. Leukocytosis, which means increase in the number of WBC, and the leukopenia means decrease in the number of WBC, and the pathological increase in number of WBC is known as leukemia. This is known as blood cancer. This is the production of WBC. Now I come to the types of WBC. WBC are mainly two types. First is granular and the second is agranular. Granular containing three types: neutrophils, acidophils and basophils. Neutrophils containing 62% and acidophils also known as eosinophils which is containing 2.3% and the basophils containing 0.4%. And ingranular is two types: lymphocytes and monocytes. Lymphocytes is 30% and monocytes is 5.3%. This is the type of WBC. Now I come to the next. It is the described of granular WBC. Granular WBC is, look here, the neutrophils is this type and the features is nucleus with 3 to 4 lobes and the stains with neutral dye is hematoxylin. This dye is known as hematoxylin and the function of neutrophils is destroy bacteria by phagocytosis. And location produced is bone marrow. And acidophils, which is eosinophils, is appearance like this and the features is nucleus with two lobes stained with acidic dye and this dye is known as eosin and the function is combat the effect of histamine in allergic reaction and the location produced is bone marrow. And the basophils is there and the features is nucleus with indistinct lobes and the stain with the basic dye is known as methylene blue and the function is liberate heparin and histamine in allergic reaction to intensify inflammatory response and the location produced is bone marrow. This is the granular WBC described. And now next is agranular WBC. This is lymphocytes and monocytes. Lymphocyte appearance is this and the features is smallest of WBC and large round nucleus and produce antibodies. Its function and location produces bone marrow, spleen and tonsils. And monocytes appearances and feature is largest of WBC, large kidney shaped nucleus and the function is ingest microorganisms and location produces bone marrow. This is the agranular WBC. Now I come to the platelets. Platelet shape is circular biconvex non-nucleated and the size is 2.4 micrometer and the count is 1,50,000 to 1,50,000 to 4 lakh platelets per microliter and the lifespan is 5 to 9 days and the function is blood clotting. Platelets are either isolated from collected units of whole blood and pulled to make a therapeutic dose or collected by platelets apheresis. Blood is taken from the donor, passed through a derived which removes the platelets. This is the helps in blood clotting. This is the describe of platelets. Now I come to the production of platelets. The production of platelets is known as thrombopoiesis. The platelets are the fragments of the large cells called megakaryocytes that remain in bone marrow. And the thrombocytosis. Thrombocytosis is the increase in the number of platelets, and thrombocytopenia is number of platelets. Decrease in the number of platelets is known as thrombocytopenia, and the increase in the number of platelets is known as thrombocytosis. This is the production of platelets. Thank you everyone.